and welcome. It's Chris from Christopher Hole Training, and welcome to this whiteboard presentation. We're going to be covering the subject posture workout, and we're going to be looking at 4 essential parts of your posture workout. When a lot of people come to me as a trainer, as a massage therapist, a lot of people, they want to improve their posture. Sometimes they need to improve their posture, but they're not quite aware of it. They want to get fitter, but their posture needs to be improved. And these are obviously parts that I would then include within their training program. If they're specifically coming to improve their posture, then the program will generally follow this trend. If they're coming to me with a fitness goal, but their posture needs to be improved, these elements will be added within the program. So what the aim of this tutorial is all about is to understand what those 4 components are. What we're then going to do within that is we're going to understand the components. So if you just want to know what the components are, we're going to look at that in the next slide. You can stop the video and sort of move on. What we're then going to do is we're then going to understand how to apply them, because there are different elements and aspects that will influence what you use and how you use. So this is quite a, let's just say from a general perspective, we will talk about some options that you have on a specific perspective, but because I'm not showing a particular person with a particular symptom or particular poor posture, I can't really give you the detail of that, if that makes sense. So we're going to look at it from a general perspective, but what it will allow you to do is it will give you a sort of a guiding direction on, if you want to improve your posture, on the things that you want to include, how to include them, and why you're including them. So what we're going to talk about first is, first of all, the 4 components. Before we get on to that, just want to mention, quick bit of business, my social media platforms. You've got @ChristopherHole on Twitter, you've got Christopher Hole Training on Facebook, and you've got Christopher Hole on Instagram. Please do come along there, like and follow. It'd be great to have you there. I'm sharing stuff like this on there most days. Anything under the umbrella of health and fitness. It could be nutrition, exercise, posture like this, habits and behaviors. Alternatively, come to ChristopherHoleTraining.com. If you go to this link, then you'll go straight to my Lordosis, which is a posture workout, a 12-week program, and it will help you understand and help you correct your Lordosis. So if you want to come to any of those, great to have you there. And yes, you can come along, like and follow, and improve your health and fitness on that journey. So coming back to today's tutorial, first of all, the 4 components of your posture workout. So what we have are the 4 components. So what a posture workout, or what I recommend a posture workout to look like from sort of start to finish. Component 1 is to foam roll and to massage. Component 2 is to stretch. Component 3 is to mobilize that area of the body. And then finally, to exercise that area of the body. So to use certain exercises. So you would use foam rolling first, follow it up by stretches, follow it up by mobility exercises, and then follow it up by, you could say, strengthening and stabilizing exercises. When we talk about posture, we talk about strengthening and stretching a lot. Yes, but no. It's not quite enough, if that makes sense. I know plenty of strong people with very strong backs, for example, but they're hunched over. So they don't need to make themselves stronger. They're plenty strong enough. They can lift a lot of weight. What they need is to foam roll and massage, stretch, mobilize, and then encourage that new posture, if you will, with exercises by using stabilizing and strengthening exercises. So that, from a short answer, those are the 4 components. What we're now going to look at in the next 2 slides is how and why to apply them. So we talk about first foam rolling and massage. So what we are looking to do with this component is we're looking to make the tissues more supple and pliable. So if you can imagine a piece of chewing gum, when you take it fresh out of the packet, it's quite stiff and rigid. That's just like the tissues of your body with a poor posture. They're quite stiff and rigid. So if you just go and try and put strengthening on them, if you try and stretch something that's stiff and rigid, it's more liable, not that the tissues is going to snap, but it's more liable to either snap or it's more liable just not to move as well. But when you take that piece of chewing gum and you put it in your mouth and chew it, it makes it more supple and more pliable. So when you then take it out and stretch it, it's then much easier to lengthen those tissues. So what we're starting to do is, using the foam rolling, we are softening the tissue. We're encouraging blood flow to the tissue. Now, you can use foam rolling or you can use massage. Now, I generally say foam rolling is a dumbed down massage. It's a not a very good way of explaining it, because foam rolling is a very valuable tool as a self therapy, if you will. So you use the foam rolling and the massage to make the tissues more supple and pliable. What you then do is you then stretch and you lengthen those tissues. Now, just as a quick caveat, I've purposely used these photos because they aren't related, for the very reason for them not being related, because I don't want the pictures to show a particular flow. What I want them to do is just to highlight that this is foam rolling the upper back and this is stretching the hip. And that's all I want it to be, just as a visual aid, so you understand that's foam rolling and that's stretching. I don't want to talk through a specific posture at the moment. I'll save that for a future video. So we're lengthening the tissues. What that then allows us to do is, when we move on to the third component, which is mobility, we can then actively stretch and mobilize these tissues and start taking them into a new range of movement. So what we're trying to do is, in a sense, we're stretching it, and yes, we will push the boundaries, but we then mobilize the tissues and take it through a range of movement within that new range of movement, if you will, or that new length. So as you can see here, what we would do is we would foam roll the upper back, as I did in the last slide. We would then stretch the upper back. What we would then do is then mobilize it. So we would look at extension and rotation to mobilize the thoracic spine. Yes, you can include scapular rotation in there as well, and shoulder flexion and extension with that. But just for the purposes of this, I'll just talk about the thoracic spine. So we would foam roll the thoracic spine. We would stretch the thoracic spine and extension, and then we would mobilize the thoracic spine and extension. What we then need to do is we then need to encourage the tissues to use this newly formed posture. So what we would hope is, if we've got someone with a hunchback, we've foam rolled, we've stretched, and we've mobilized, what we would hope is that they can then hold a new, more upright, less hunched posture. So what we would then use is an exercise and say, go into that newly formed range of movement, and we're then going to exercise that. We aren't going to do rows. We aren't going to do back strengthening exercises. We're going to use exercises. We could use the plank here. You could use the squat. You could use many different exercises. We could use a hip hinge. So we could take them into the hip hinge and say, I want you to lift your chest as you go down in the hip hinge. Because the main thing from the exercise, we don't necessarily want to be strengthening the tissues. That will come as an extension, as a next component, if you will. But what we want to do is we want to build the brain's connection using repetition, i.e. exercise, in that newly formed range of movement, because it's that's going to improve the posture. The strengthening is just going to reinforce what we've already done. So if we just go straight into strengthening exercises and don't extend and mobilize and stretch the thoracic spine, we're just going to be strengthening on top of an already poor posture that can't get there, because it's a very stiff chewing gum, as I mentioned at the start. But if we make the tissues more pliable, we stretch them, we mobilize them, we then start repeating that posture in different exercises. When we then come to strengthen, we're going to have a much better posture already, and then we strengthen and reinforce and lock in that posture from a strength perspective. strengthening the tissues is very separate to what I'm talking about now. I'm just talking about, first of all, making the tissues available to be able to go into a better posture. Then we're training the brain with exercise here to encourage that new posture. And then the tissue, we're basically then just strengthening around that posture with the strengthening exercises, which would come as the next component to then reinforce it. So any posture workout that I do with people is foam rolling and stretching the stiff tissues, stretching those stiff tissues, mobilizing the postures and getting them to move further, and then getting them to do exercises with that newly formed posture. So if you want to start applying that to your workout, don't worry about the strengthening exercises yet. You've got to do this bit first. If you want a 12-week program which has these elements already embedded within it, you can go to the correct lordosis. If it is lordosis that is the problem that you want to correct, you can use that, and it will take these 4 steps and do it for you. What you can then do is you can add your strengthening around it. Yes, there are some strengthening exercises within it, but you can add more around it. So with this correct lordosis program, you get a lot of these tutorials with it. I teach you how to do these elements a little bit more. Obviously give you the 12-week program, additional tutorials and additional workouts of how to do all these components. So if you found that useful, either come along to social media, come along to the website, and you can find out more there. So many thanks for watching. My name is Chris. I will speak to you in the next video.